What is up, guys? Rudy here. I recently did a very big upgrade in my recording gear and bought some new units from Audient. More specifically, I got the Audient iD44 as well as a couple of the ASP880s. So today what I'm basically going to do is run you through the units, tell you just about everything you could possibly want to know about them. I'm also going to do some A/B comparison between processed and unprocessed. And then of course I'm just going to give you some additional information on engineering live drums and really just tell you all the reasons that I think these units are so sick. So yeah, let's get started. First up is the iD44. This is a 4-channel USB interface with Class A Audient microphone preamps. That means you're getting a very, very high quality microphone preamp at a very affordable price. But moreover, this unit has great features for drum recording specifically. Things like the plus 48 volt switch or phantom power, which can be used on any type of microphone that may need power, which is oftentimes the case for condenser microphones used on overheads and room mics. Each channel has a minus 10 dB pad, which is again really great for drums because you're oftentimes miking up very loud sound sources. And then each channel also has a high pass filter, which is great for rolling the low end off of any of the sound sources that you would probably do that for anyway. Things like overheads, room mics, and cymbal close mics. Of course, every channel also has a gain knob used to set input levels. As I said, this is an interface, so there are plenty of things on it that you would expect to see on most interfaces. Things like the large knob on the front used to control playback volume through studio monitors. Below that, there are also a couple of switches to aid it, things like the dim and the cut switch, 2 separate headphone outputs, which is great. But what I really like most about this unit is that it has not 1, but 2 optical inputs or ADAT inputs. This means you can chain 2 additional units to it, up to 16 additional inputs for a grand total of 20 inputs, which opens up a world of possibilities when recording drums. And honestly, being able to get that many additional inputs is just not something you see that often in this price range or with this kind of a quality microphone preamp. The iD44 also comes with something called the ID Mix app, which is an application you load up on your computer, and it gives you total control of anything coming in, not only through the 4 main inputs, but also anything you might have running through the additional ADAT inputs. A lot of guys do not seem to be using any kind of fancy in-ear or headphone mix for their regular practice, but I often hear guys complaining about how they can't hear themselves well enough. So that's another cool thing about this unit. It's not only great for recording, but you can also use it for monitoring yourself in your everyday practice, and that's going to allow you to hear yourself with much more clarity. And of course, even though there is not a button for it on the front of the unit, through the ID Mix app, you can flip the phase on any of the channels. If you've ever done any drum recording, you know how important it is to get everything in phase going in. So it's definitely a relief to know that this is something that is very easily accessible. Moving on to the ASP880s, which are the units that I am running into both of the optical inputs of the iD44. These units have very similar features and almost identical mic pre's and converters, so I think they pair exceptionally well together. Just like the iD44, this unit has a plus 48 volt switch on every channel. There is also a phase flip button on every channel, so it's even easier. To the right of that, there is a high pass filter button, but this time when you engage it, it actually activates the knob below it, and that allows you to control the amount that you want to roll off. And to the right of that, there is a little button with an A-D above it. Those are insert points. I'm not really using those, so I'm not going to spend much time on it, but it is nice to know that the option is there. On the far right is where you select your sample rate. I normally track in 48 or 44.1. But I think the coolest feature on this unit is actually the variable impedance lever. Just by flipping the switch, there are 3 different settings, low, medium, and high, all of which completely change the characteristic of the microphone preamp. With the style of music that I play, I'm mostly using the high setting for everything, which gives you a much more detailed and responsive sound. But if you were to switch the lever to the low setting, you'd get a much slower and softer transient. And of course, medium is right in between somewhere. So really just a ton of different options for sound. And in case you're wondering what these units sound like with no processing whatsoever, I'm gonna go ahead and switch the mix a few times between processed and unprocessed. The unprocessed is basically just going to be a totally raw drum mix, just leveled out a bit in volume. So let's go ahead and check it out. So hopefully you can hear that even the unprocessed signal has a lot of clarity and depth to it. Keep in mind that I am recording in a basement. It's got concrete walls, very low ceilings, and there is carpet hung everywhere. Over the years, I've definitely learned how to get the best sounds out of this room, but it definitely helps to have some quality gear. So in a nutshell, those are the units. As you can tell, there are some really phenomenal features for recording drums. And on top of that, you're just getting a really quality unit for a very reasonable price. It's honestly kind of hard to beat. And lastly, a few words on audio engineering in general, especially for anyone out there that is just getting into this and maybe wants to start making their own drum videos on YouTube. Even though these units were a huge upgrade for me, I actually think they're a really great starting place for anyone that's new to this, especially the Audient iD44, basically because it's affordable, it's simple, and it's not too much of an initial investment. Let's be honest, when you're first getting into recording drums, it can be very overwhelming. There are a lot of different pieces that you need: cables, stands, the microphones themselves, an interface. If you have a big kit, maybe some additional microphone preamps. You need a good computer to run it all through, a digital audio workspace. All of this stuff adds up really quick, and it can be very daunting if you're not sure if it's something that you want to do forever. But that's what's so cool about the iD44 is that you're getting something professional quality, but you don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars to get it. You can start off with just the interface that gives you 4 inputs. That's enough to do kick, snare, and main overheads. That allows you to kind of just get familiar with recording. You don't have to buy as much gear. You can start running just those 4 main pieces of the kit into a digital audio workspace, learn how it works, and then when you're ready, then you can add on to it through the optical ends. You don't have to buy everything all at once. You can just start small and then add on from there, and you can take some comfort in knowing that you can expand upon what you already have and that it's going to retain its professional quality. You're not going to have to buy a whole nother interface later, and that's a huge thing. I mean, to not have to purchase tons and tons of gear all the time or sell what you already have and buy something else, that's a pretty great thing. And one final point, guys, I just want to say for the record that the people at Audient were unbelievably nice and immensely helpful to me. I started emailing with them months before I even made a purchase. I probably annoyed the heck out of them, but I was really concerned with the amount of money I was spending, and I wanted to make sure that I was getting something that was really going to work for me long term. They were super patient, super helpful, and it became very clear to me that they really care about the products they make and the people that buy them. So, if you follow me on social media, you know that I like to work with companies that are not only making great products, but are also incredibly good people. So big shout out to them for that. And yeah, make sure to check out the Audient iD44 and the ASP880, especially if you're just getting into drum recording or audio engineering in general. And if you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment or shoot me a message or an email, and I will do my best to answer them. Otherwise, do all that normal YouTube stuff. If you feel like it, subscribe and like and all that jazz. So that's it, everyone. Stay tuned for more drum videos and maybe some more videos like this, and have a great day.